Hi everybody, it's Tasso. Execution is hard, it's really, really hard. It requires a huge amount of effort, discipline, resilience, measurement, that we engage people along the way, that we persuade people to follow us in the first place. The least we could do is to have a solid plan in place that we don't go back to and challenge again and again. Now, there's nothing wrong with fine-tuning the original plan when you move to execution, but there's also nothing more disruptive than constantly doubting your plan and going back in order to revise it. So, how can you make a solid plan? How can you make a better plan? My suggestion is use your senses. And I don't mean your gut feeling here, I literally mean those 5 senses. Well, although, to be honest, I don't think smelling and tasting will help us much with planning, but the other 3, touching, seeing, and hearing. How so, you might ask? Well, here's the main thought. Thinking happens inside of our heads, but planning happens outside of our heads. See, I think that our thoughts need to go through 3 steps in order to create a better plan or better planning in general, which all require our senses. Here's what I mean by that. Number 1 is write things down. Map them out. You see, there's a special connection between our hands and our brain. You will have heard about it, you will have read about it, you will certainly even have experienced this yourself. We can articulate things better when we write them down. We can structure things if we have them written down, and we can memorize things better if we write them down. And that's why, for instance, people suggest that we journal, that we take our thoughts outside of our head and put them on paper where we can structure them and actually see the big picture. Which leads me to point number 2. Look at it. Now see, you cannot look onto your thoughts, which are in your head, but you can look onto something that you created, that you put on paper. Only if you look onto something that you created on a piece of paper or the flip chart or on a whiteboard, you can see the overall gestalt of it. See, this is the same principle with to-do lists. To-do lists are nothing else in there. All the things that are circulating in your head, you take them out of your head, you put them down, and this list gives you a chance to start structuring it and actually defining next steps. So once you've put those things visible in front of you and you can see the big picture literally, then it's time to fine-tune it. And this brings me to step number 3. Listen to it. Now this might sound a little bit odd, but in order to identify the gaps and the inconsistencies of your planning, when you look at things, it just scratches the surface. In order to get it to the next level, you need to talk someone, or yourself for that matter, through your planning and listen to how you describe it. This way, you will identify and figure out very, very fast the limitations of your original thinking, which will help you to fine-tune and create a better and better plan. This will also help you, for instance, when you get unstuck. So when you look at something and you see and you feel there's something missing, but you cannot nail it down. This is when you talk yourself through it, you will be able to cut the knot. See, when I'm thinking about it, it seems like almost our thoughts need to get outside of our head, through the writing, for instance, and then back into our head through our eyes and ears in order to get upgraded, if you will, maybe a way to describe it. It seems like they have to go through such an optimization cycle in order for them to be validated or to be improved. So those were the 3 steps that I wanted to share with you. In summary, number 1, write it down. Write it down because there is a special connection, and you should leverage this connection between your brain and your hand. Number 2, look at it. See the big picture. Step back and look at the big picture. Does it look good? And I don't mean here from an aesthetic point of view, but from a consistency point of view. And then listen to it. Why do you think people ask, sounds good? Well, because it has to sound good. That's literally what it means, because the brain will add different set of information to the set of information to whatever is coming through the eyes or the ears back into the brain. So what about you? Have you intuitively been doing this in such a way, or is that something that you would like to try? What are things that you do that work for you in your planning? Please take a few minutes and write a note or even a question in the comment section below. I really would be curious to see what works for you. I hope you enjoyed this small short video. I hope you liked it. Thank you very much for watching it until the very end. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe for more, share it so that others can get the idea. Until the very next post, all the best.